Hey, what's up? Jeremy Kinney here with the awarenessrevolution.com. I'm going to finally do a video on this whole Brett Kavanaugh situation. I hate that I've lowered myself to doing this, but it's a hot topic. My channel got deleted before and I lost all my subscribers. So, I need to hit on something that people are interested in. So, hopefully you'll like it and subscribe. So let me give you a quick preview of some of the things we're going to be going over, because this isn't going to be your typical video. I hope you learn something new. So I'm going to go over this memorandum by Rachel Mitchell. She gives a lot of details and just lists a lot of the facts and the inconsistencies in Ford's testimony versus her written statement. Also, this is a new development. Ford's ex-boyfriend has come forward and sworn under oath and tells a story that basically contradicts Ford's story in several different ways. I'm going to go over how this accuser that accused Kavanaugh about the gang rape, I'm going to expose her. And then I'm going to show you this paper that Ford wrote along with other co-authors, where they say that hypnosis, including self-hypnosis, can be used to create artificial situations. So there's a lot going on here, so let me go ahead and just dive right in. Now, just in case you haven't been following this closely, which kind of hope you haven't. I've heard too much about it, so hopefully it's not been taking up too much time in your life. Because I wish it would just go away. I'm sure Kavanaugh does too. The truth is no one knows what really happened, right? But we have to go with the facts and evidence. So I think one of the biggest problems is that people are ignoring that, and like polls have been showing 3/4 of the Democrats believe Ford, 3/4 of the Republicans believe Kavanaugh. I'm not a Republican, so but I'm going to give you my my take and explain why I see things the way that I do. But it's certainly not because he's a Republican. And just to get this out of the way up front, I don't think Kavanaugh is a good nominee. Don't know why Trump nominated him. So, I'm not taking up for Kavanaugh because I like him or because he's a Republican or anything. There's no bias here, all right? I am as non-biased as I can possibly be on everything. So if you like that, that's just another reason to subscribe to my channel. But anyways, I know people Tom Woods, who I really respect, check out his podcast. People from the Mises Institute have all said that Kavanaugh is not the best. He's not libertarian, so I lean more libertarian. So he's not the best nominee. And I didn't even know who Kavanaugh was before this all happened. I don't follow politics like that, but these guys do, and I trust their opinion. So again, I am not taking up for Kavanaugh here. I'm just getting into the facts of the case and presenting hopefully some evidence that you haven't heard elsewhere, because I know the mainstream media likes to leave a lot of important information out because they're very biased and they're controlled by the same people that control the government behind the scenes, which Trump is exposing. Which, even though I don't like Trump as a person or as a president, I love the fact that he's exposing the deep state, bringing these things to the forefront, and that's what I like about him, the situation. So let's dive in. You'll see from this, and I'm going to link to this. I'm going to link to all these pages in the description below. So Rachel Mitchell points out two things she wants to emphasize. She has nearly 25 of experience as a career prosecutor of sex-related and other crimes. And the other thing is that, it's not a trial, especially not a prosecution, blah, blah, blah. All right, so there's that. says, in the legal context, here is my bottom line. A he said, she said case is incredibly difficult to prove, but this case is even weaker than that. Dr. Ford identified other witnesses to the event, and those witnesses either refuted her allegations or failed to corroborate them. For the reasons discussed below, I do not think that a reasonable prosecutor would bring this case based on the evidence before the committee. Nor do I believe that this evidence is sufficient to satisfy the preponderance of the evidence standard. So that's a pretty strong statement, and that's from someone who deals with this on a regular basis. You know, I'm not a professional, but that was what I was thinking too. All right. Dr. Ford has not offered a consistent account of when the alleged assault happened. So we're going to get into the inconsistencies here. It's funny because, you know, I'm just now learning all this too. But I see on social media everyone's talking about Kavanaugh's inconsistency, about how he was drinking. And I don't want to take up for Kavanaugh here, but everyone knows the first sign of addiction is denial. And if you were to ask someone about their drinking, they're probably going to think that it's not a problem. No matter, even if it's a big problem, they're going to think it's a much smaller problem than maybe their husband or wife thinks. You know what I mean? Because it's just perspective, right? And we all like to believe that we have, you know, everything under control. And, you know, that's just natural. You know, people are going to downplay their drinking and drugs and addiction and stuff like that. Especially a person that's a public figure, and especially a person that's being accused, which possibly falsely accused of such horrible allegations. It is only more understanding why a person would not want to be like, yeah, I used to get wasted and pass out drunk and vomit. We used to do beer bongs and keg stand. You know what I mean? Even if it's true, you know, if he said that, people would have been like, oh, he's guilty. See, we knew it. So, you know, he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. But anyway, so let's get into Ford's inconsistencies. In a July 6th text to the Washington Post, she said it happened in the mid-'80s. In her July 30th letter to Senate Feinstein, she said it happened in the early 80s. So, you know, her story doesn't even add up. Mid-'80s, early 80s, that's a big difference. Early 80s is like 81, 82. Mid-'80s could be 85, 86, maybe even 87. So, you know, we're looking at like a 5, 6, 7 year time difference. And which is weird to me. I haven't heard anyone else bring this up, but she said it happened when she was 15. So do the math, you know, you just, the year you were born, add 15 years to it, and that's the year that it happened. But this lady can't even tell you what year the event happened. And that says a lot, I think. That says a whole lot. Because, I mean, maybe I'm just weird, but I remember the years of a lot of different things, right? I remember when things happen, I know what years. They songs and stuff like that. I know what years they came out just because I remember when I was listening to it and stuff like that. A traumatic event like that, if she's truly traumatized, she should remember a year and a lot of other details, which we're going to get into in just a minute. But, like, for example, I had someone on Facebook tell me, oh, well, you know, in Judge's book, he placed Judge Kavanaugh at the scene of a crime. But I told him, I'm like, that's absolutely impossible. The book can't place him at the scene of the crime because we don't know when the crime took place. So there's no way a book can put him there at that time because we don't know when it happened. Anyways, her August 7th statements to the polygrapher said that it happened one high school summer in the early 80s, but she crossed out the word early for reasons she did not explain. September 16th, Washington Post article reported that Dr. Ford said it happened in the summer of 82. So, you know, it's just inconsistent all across the board. Similarly, the September 16th article reported that notes from an individual therapy session in her 2013 show her describing the assault as occurring in her late teens. But she told the Post and the committee that she was 15 when the assault allegedly occurred. She has not turned over her therapy records for the committee to review. She also has refused to turn over her therapy records. So again, so a lot of people think that she has evidence. I just want to point out up front, Ford has no evidence whatsoever, not the smallest shred of evidence. All she has is her word, okay? She doesn't have the date, and we're gonna keep building on this. She doesn't have. She refuses to provide the notes from her therapy session, and her reports are inconsistent. Sometimes it's late teens, sometimes it's 15, sometimes it's 82, sometimes it's early 80s, mid 80s. She doesn't know. Honestly, she doesn't know. It says, well, it's common for victims to be uncertain about dates. Dr. Ford failed to explain how she was suddenly able to narrow the time frame to a particular season and particular year. She struggled to identify Judge Kavanaugh as the assailant by name. No name was given in her 2012 marriage therapy notes. No name was given in her 2013 individual therapy notes. Dr. Ford's husband claims to recall that she identified Judge Kavanaugh by name in 2012. At that point, Kavanaugh's name was widely reported in the press as a potential Supreme Court nominee if Governor Romney won the presidential election. So there's another red flag, okay? So now all of a sudden, Judge Kavanaugh's name is coming up around the time of the election because, word on the streets was if Romney won, he was going to nominate Kavanaugh. And, from what I hear, I haven't verified this, so, if you can corroborate it or dispute it, do so in the comments. Free, please. I've heard that she's a well-known anti-Trumper and big-time Democrat, and that appears to be the case because who did she call? Who did she, send a letter to? Senator Feinstein. Huge Democrat, probably Illuminati member. She's just one of the bad people. She's high-ranking in the swamp. So, that's another red flag. So here we have it when his Kavanaugh's name comes up in therapy, but of course Romney didn't win, so Kavanaugh did not get nominated, so we never heard about it. But now that he has been nominated, all of a sudden now we're hearing about it again. This has nothing to do with something that happened 35 years ago. It has everything to do with the fact that Kavanaugh has been nominated for Supreme Court. So there is motive here. There's a clear bias in a clear motive. She's a Democrat. She's getting the Democrats and, on her team, and they're trying to prevent another Republican, Kavanaugh, from being in the Supreme Court. That's the big problem here. There's a couple big problems here, too. Also, if Ford's lying, then she's basically harming all the legitimate victims of sexual assault, because it's going to make it harder for these women to come forward and be believable. So, a lot of these women that are fighting for Ford don't even realize they could be doing more harm than good, because there's a good chance Ford is lying, all right? I think she's lying. But, you decide it for yourself. But don't decide until you've seen all these other things. It says, she changed her description of the incident to become less specific. She testified that she told her husband about a sexual assault before they were married. But she told Washington Post that she informed her husband that she was the victim of physical abuse at the beginning of their marriage. That's a big difference. She testified that both times she was referring to the same incident. She has no memory of key details of the night in question, details that could corroborate her account. She does not remember who invited her to the party or how she heard about it. She does not remember how she got to the party. She doesn't remember in what house the assault allegedly took place or where that house was located with any specificity. Perhaps most importantly, she does not remember how she got from the party back to her house. Now that's a big one. That's a because think about it. We'll get into more details in a second, but she supposedly left, and they didn't have cell phones back then. She was 15. She couldn't drive. If you were traumatized, it's not over when it's over. It's all gonna be sinking in. You're gonna be thinking about it on the way home, and it was roughly a 20-minute drive, so that'd be a huge walk, and even a 20-minute drive would be memorable. Her inability to remember this detail raises significant questions. She told the Washington Post that the party took place near the Colombian country, blah, 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 roughly 20-minute drive. Also agreed the first time in her testimony that she was driven somewhere that night, either to the party or from the party, or both. She doesn't know. That's ridiculous. Ford was able to describe hiding in the bathroom, blocking the door, and subsequently exiting the home. She also described wanting to make sure that she did not look like she had been attacked. But she has no memory of who drove her or when, nor has anyone come forward to identify him or herself as the driver. Given that this all took place before cell phones, arranging a ride home would not have been easy. Indeed, she stated that she ran out of the house after coming downstairs and did not state that she made a phone call from the house before she did, or that she called anyone else thereafter. So, how did she get home? If she didn't make a phone call to call for a ride, if there was only a few people at the party, if one of them took her home, she'd remember that. Was she just walking and someone picked her up? She'd remember that. I'd be very hesitant to trust someone after, a traumatizing event. A long walk would be memorable, if you had to walk for a few hours. She does, however, remember small, distinct details from the party unrelated to the assault. For example, she testified that she had exactly one beer at the party and was taking no medication at the time of the alleged assault. So why does she remember that she drank one beer, but not how she got to the party, who invited her, where it was, or how she got home? That's not normal, all right? Why would she say she had one beer? Well, if she's telling the truth, why does she remember that she had one beer, but doesn't remember all the other details? The fact, I remember a lot of nights drinking in the past. Even recently. But I don't remember how much I drank. So if she's telling the truth, why does she remember that and not the other details? If she's lying, why would she be lying? Why would she say she only had one beer? Well, here's a reason to consider. If she only had one beer, she seems more credible. We all know the more wasted you are, the more drunk you are, the more intoxicated that you are, the less credible you are as a witness. The more that you could be foggy, the less credible you look on the stand. So one beer is enough to say, hey, I was there drinking. She said I didn't drink. And they'd be like, why are you at the party? Why are you hanging out with guys that are drinking and are inebriated, but you're not drinking? That doesn't make sense. So what's the next best thing? It's got to be believable. So, yeah, I drank. Well, I had one beer. That makes her look innocent. Like, oh, my good girl, only had one beer. By the way, her records were mysteriously scrubbed from the internet before these allegations took place, which, that's another red flag. All right? That means that possibly someone very powerful in power has the ability to scrub the internet and delete all of her history off the internet. That's not just, her doing it, right? She has friends in high places, and it appears so because she's using the Clinton attorneys. We're going to get more into all that, you guys. Stick with me. I know this is a lot of information, but hey, if you're digging it, you made it this far, and you haven't hit that like button, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. I appreciate it. I'm going to quickly go through the rest of this. Her account of the alleged assault has not been corroborated by anyone she identified as having attended, including her lifelong friend. She named 3 people other than Judge Kavanaugh who attended the party: Mark Judge, PJ, and her lifelong friend Leland Keyser. I don't know. Dr. Ford testified to the committee that another boy attended the party, but she could not remember his name. No others have come forward. All three denied that they were at the party whatsoever. Her friend Leland, apparently the only other girl at the party, did not follow up with Dr. Ford after the party to ask why she had suddenly disappeared. That's kind of weird. If you're the only other girl at the party and then your best friends and your best friend leaves, you know, I would think that Leland, the other girl, would be like, "Hey, why'd you leave the party all of a sudden? You only had one beer. Must have just got there." That's kind of weird, right? And also, if Ford really got attacked, and these guys really assaulted her, and she left without saying anything to her friend, then she left her friend in harm's way. That isn't good, right? That's not what you would do. You would grab your girlfriend and say, "Hey, these guys are really out of line. They just attacked me upstairs. Let's get out of here right away," right? But that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. She just left and left her. It was different when it was 2 girls and 4 boys. But now she left her best friend, now it's 1 female with 4 boys, with at least 2 of them being sexual predators. Why would you leave your friend in the house? Again, her story just does not make sense. All right. According to her letter to Senator Feinstein, Dr. Ford heard Judge Kavanaugh and Mark Judge talking to other partygoers downstairs while she was hiding in the bathroom after the alleged assault. But according to her testimony, she could not hear them talking to anyone. In her letter, she stated, "I locked the door behind me. Both loudly stumbled down the stairwell, at which point other persons in the house were talking with them." But she testified that Judge Kavanaugh and Mark Judge turned up the music in the bedroom so that people downstairs could not hear her scream. She testified that after the incident, she ran to the bathroom, locked the door, and heard them going downstairs. But she maintained that she could not hear the conversation with others when they got downstairs. Instead, she testified that she assumed a conversation took place. So, again, inconsistent, because in her letter, she said that she heard Kavanaugh and Mark Judge talking to other partygoers downstairs. Then, during her testimony, she said that she assumed a conversation took place. Okay, so this is obvious, but I've got to point it out. This is a good time to point it out. Why do people cross-examine witnesses? It's to catch them slipping up on their story, to see if their story changes, right? And that's why, when you get pulled over or you get arrested, you shouldn't say anything. Just plead the fifth, because anything that you can say, anything you say can and will be used against you. That's because, if you say, in OJ's case, he was chipping balls or whatever, then you can't change your story later on, because then you're a liar. One of them has to be true, or actually one of them doesn't have to be true, but one of them has to be false. So, because it can't be both. It's one way or the other, or neither, right? But inconsistent stories mean that you're lying, okay? That's why you don't want to say anything to the police when you're arrested. And that's why, they get your statements and stuff like that when an incident happens. And when they cross-examine you, they try to ask you things in a catchy way to find an inconsistency. Because inconsistencies suggest that the person's lying, okay? And so this suggests that she's lying. So, according to a Washington Post account of her therapy notes, there were 4 boys in the bedroom in which she was assaulted. She told the Washington Post that the notes were erroneous because there were 4 boys at the party, but only 2 in the bedroom. In her letter to Feinstein, she said, "Me and 4 others were present at the party." In her testimony, she said there were 4 boys in addition to Leland Keyser. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, sorry. And herself. So, again, every time she tells a story, it's different. Anyway, so there's more here. There's a timeline. I would say that that's a pretty good summary. I don't want to go into all the details, but I will link to this below for anyone that wants to watch it. You know, if you're watching it and interested in learning more, reading it on your own, feel free. I'm going to move on because I don't want this video to be any longer than it has to be. Alright, so this is new. Ford's ex-boyfriend contradicts her on polygraph. And he says, basically there's a few different, really bombshell pieces of information here that he said. Because during Ford's testimony, Ford stated under oath that she had never coached anyone on taking a lie detector test. And the thing is they could be setting up Ford. You know, they could have known about Ford's ex-boyfriend beforehand. I don't know. And maybe that's why they asked her that question. You know, because they want to catch her lying. They know that she has, and they're catching her lying, so that way it will ruin her credibility and expose her for lying. And also, this polygraph issue, you know, if she's coaching someone, which I'm getting ready to show you, that's what her ex-boyfriend said, that she coached her best friend at the time, who was going for an interview for the FBI, and Ford was coaching her friend before the job interview. And so that means that Ford is pretty knowledgeable when it comes to polygraphs. So when you tie that in to what I'm getting ready to show you about the research study where they say that hypnosis can be used to create artificial situations. When you tie that in with her expert opinion and experience and knowledge with polygraphs, it really puts her polygraph into question. Especially, you know, it's funded by her attorneys who are working for free for her, supposedly. And, you know, they're Clinton attorneys. And he only asked her 2 questions during the polygraph, and neither one of the questions had anything to do with Kavanaugh. It was like, is your statement true? Yes. You know? So, you know, there's a lot of really sketchy red flags surrounding this whole thing. And, you know, when there's that many red flags, you just have to wonder, you know, is this legit? And once you've researched enough of these lies and frauds, you'll start to see a pattern. You'll start to see that a lot of these things fall apart really quickly. And when you start to see them fall apart like this, it's a very good indication that there's some sort of deceit around it. You know, we're being lied to about this. I don't know for sure, but it's going to be interesting to see how this all comes out. But it also says that Ford and this man's supposed date for 6 years, and he says Ford never expressed a fear of flying or of closed spaces, traits she told the committee she struggles with. The man also claimed that Ford lied about and then admitted to charging a credit card they used to share for about $600 of merchandise. So here's what he said, basically. He used to date Ford. I guess he lived with her for a few years. They flew in a propeller plane, little tiny propeller plane that's like, you know, air, you know, it just makes it, the turbulence really dramatic. You know, it's not a fun ride. You know, if you're gonna have fear of a big airliner, you're gonna be a lot more afraid in a small, tiny propeller plane. But He flew with her in a tiny propelled plane to Hawaii, got her like a 500 square foot house with only one exit door, and um, found out that she cheated on him, so he broke up with her, and then afterwards found out that she was still using his credit card. She denied it, and then when he threatened to call fraud prevention, she admitted it was her. So the fact that she cheated on him makes her lose credibility. The fact that she used his credit card long after they had already been broken up shows that she's very dishonest. And it says, Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley has written a letter to Ford's lawyers requesting the results of the polygraph test Ford took, as well as other evidence he said has been withheld from the committee. So, the former boyfriend's statement raises specific concerns about the reliability of her polygraph examination results. Dr. Ford cited the results of this polygraph examination to support her allegations. It's unfair to rely on the results of a polygraph examination while withholding the materials necessary to assess the accuracy of the results. So there you have it. Interesting story. Let's go ahead and expose Kavanaugh's later accuser. This lady came forward and said that Kavanaugh, made allegations of Kavanaugh and some gang rape. So, I'm going to quickly go over this. This lady, Swetnick, this is the bombshell right here on her, made a sexual harassment claim against New York Life and used the firm run by Blasey Ford's attorney to represent her. Now, Swetnick, okay, let me go back up here a little bit. Basically, Swetnick worked for New York Life, and there was an article about it, about her in The Guardian, and then they took that part out. So they're suppressing this information that she worked for New York Life because she made a sexual harassment claim against her employer and used the same firm that Ford's using to represent her. So basically, this isn't the first time Swetnick has made a sexual harassment claim. This isn't the first time they've used this firm, this attorney firm. So these girls might be career, hacks. It's possible she could have this happen on more than one occasion. It's possible. But, 2 times, that is a little harder to believe, to say the least, right? She's at least quick to call up this attorney and make these allegations. And there is motive. Obviously she probably got paid generously from the last one. The attorneys wouldn't take on the case unless they thought they had a case, and these attorneys, I'm sure, are not cheap. This is not a cheap pay scale attorney. So let's look at this paper, and I'll wrap up this video. Again, hit the thumbs up, you guys. If you have not, please hit that thumbs up, you guys. So it says an academic study authored in part by Christine Blasey Ford, which discusses creating artificial situations via memory and hypnosis, has been uncovered. Margaret Cleveland of The Federalist posted the document, which discloses Ford's theory on memory retrieval on her Twitter account this afternoon. Ford's paper was titled Meditation with Yoga, Group Therapy with Hypnosis, and Psychoeducation for Long-Term Depressed Mood, a randomized pilot trial. The study took place in 2008. You can see the cover of it here. And they've got some screenshots where you can read it. But if you look right here in the middle, you'll see. It says, in 1984, Abrams, if that's correct, suggested that hypnosis could be used to improve rapport in the therapeutic relationship. assist in the retrieval of important memories, and create artificial situations. So, again, I'm going to link to this. I looked up so I could find the study to make sure it was her and everything like that. So I found the study, and then you come over here and you see Christine Blasey. Institution, it all checks out. There's her picture, there's her university. So it does appear to be legit. Now, what that means, I don't really know. There's a lot of other rumors. I haven't got into looking at them yet, but about her being connected to the CIA. I know the Snopes already, you Google it, Snopes shows right up like, oh no, it's mostly false, whatever. But it's really hard to know because a lot of her past and history has been deleted off the internet. This happened a lot with the Charlottesville protest. When I started researching, I did videos, and that's pretty much what got me kicked off of YouTube. My old channel deleted, but a lot of these people, you couldn't find information about them, which is abnormal, especially younger people that are protesting and stuff. These are people that are gonna be on social media sharing all kinds of crazy memes and just almost everyone today has a Facebook page, so it shouldn't you shouldn't be looking up these people and seeing no Facebook pages. But anyway. So, I hope that was educational, informative. I hope it wasn't too boring. If I'm boring, please let me know. I don't mind. I'd rather hear some honest, constructive criticism like that than some nonsense, mean stuff, drinking the Trump Kool-Aid or, whatever people say today. But, you guys, I've got a lot of other videos on a bunch of different topics. I don't want to cover all this kind of stuff. I've got so much to share with the world, with my message, what I've learned. So I try to stay away from this as much as possible, but this is what everyone's talking about. I think a lot of the people don't know this, so make sure to share it also. You can even, when you hit the share button, you can put it at a certain part, maybe if you just want to point out the gang rape accuser, how she, blah, 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 or send a link or whatever, just, share this message, and together we can help change the world. So thanks for watching until the end. I appreciate it, and I hope that you'll subscribe so you can check out all the videos that I'll be doing in the future, because I'm going to create a lot of great ones.